The paralysis you feel in the face of judgment is not a sign of weakness. It is a screaming of a biological legacy that once ensured your survival. For hundreds of thousands of years, the collective was the only thing standing between a human being and the maw of a predator. To be cast out was to be erased. This is why, in the modern world, a negative comment or a cold glance feels like a physical blow. Your brain has not caught up to the digital age. It still believes that social friction is a precursor to starvation. You are operating with a neural architecture designed for a high-stakes tribal landscape, attempting to navigate a world of infinite, anonymous, and ultimately harmless social signals. Every time you hesitate to speak your truth, you are bowing to a ghost tribe that no longer has the power to kill you, yet you hand them the power to stifle your soul. When you perceive disapproval, your brain's anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that registers physical injury, flashes with activity. Your body does not distinguish between a broken leg and a broken social bond. This is the evolutionary mismatch. In an era where you can survive perfectly well without the approval of your neighbors, your nervous system is still dumping cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream, as if you were being hunted. You are sacrificing your individuation, your unique path of growth, to appease a ghost tribe that exists only in your primitive subconscious. You are trading your destiny for a false sense of security that the modern world no longer requires you to buy. You are essentially living in a high-tech cage built from Stone Age fears, allowing the imagined whispers of others to dictate the boundaries of your existence. This evolutionary ghost haunting manifests as a chronic state of hypervigilance. You scan the faces of strangers for micro-expressions of contempt. You overanalyze the punctuation in a text message. You replay conversations until they lose all meaning. You are attempting to solve the problem of other people's minds, but other people's minds are a black box. By dedicating your cognitive bandwidth to managing the impressions you leave, you are effectively burning the fuel required for your own creation. You are a high-performance engine idling in a garage because you are afraid of what the neighbors might think of the noise. The tragedy of the modern condition is that we have won the war for survival, yet we live with the stress levels of the defeated. Carl Jung warned that the greatest threat to the soul is the over-identification with the persona. The persona is a social mask, a functional tool meant to facilitate interaction. But for most, the mask is fused to the skin. When you care what people think, you have essentially outsourced your ego. You have handed the keys to your internal kingdom to a collective that is fickle, distracted, and largely indifferent. You become a social mirror, a hollow vessel that only feels real when it reflects the expectations of others. While you are busy polishing this mask, the self underneath the raw, authentic core of your being is beginning to atrophy from neglect. You have become a secondary character in your own life, perpetually waiting for a script written by people who don't even know your name. This outsourcing of the self creates a state of psychic fragmentation. You present a different version of yourself to every person you meet, terrified that if the real you were seen, the social structure would collapse. But the cost of this harmony is a quiet, simmering resentment. You begin to hate the people whose approval you seek, because their gaze has become a prison. You are performing for an audience of jailers, unaware that you are the one holding the keys. The more you feed the persona, the hungrier the shadow becomes. Eventually, the repressed parts of your personality will lash out, manifesting as burnout anxiety or sudden, inexplicable self-sabotage. You cannot maintain a lie forever without the truth exacting attacks. You are performing a grand play for a ghost audience. You suffer from the spotlight effect, a psychological bias where you overestimate how much others notice your flaws or actions. The reality is far more brutal and far more liberating. Everyone else is so consumed by the maintenance of their own masks that they have no bandwidth left to truly analyze yours. They aren't watching you. They are watching the reflection of their own insecurities in the way you carry yourself. Your fear of their judgment is actually a fear of your own shadow being seen, projected onto a crowd that is looking the other way. You are a prisoner in a cell where the door has been unlocked the entire time. The only thing keeping you inside is the fear of being seen as you walk out. To reclaim your sovereignty, you must initiate a death of the tribal self. This is a deliberate process of dismantling the permission-based reality you've lived in since childhood. It requires you to embrace the universal indifference. Most people are not your allies, nor are they your enemies. They are simply protagonists of their own internal dramas. Their judgment of you is rarely an objective assessment of your worth. It is a confession of their own limitations. When someone tells you that you are too much or out of line, they are simply marking the boundaries of their own comfort zone. They are trying to pull you back into the bucket, so your growth doesn't highlight their stagnation. This death is not an act of cynicism. It is an act of biological realignment. When you stop caring, you stop bleeding energy. You begin to experience the great weightlessness. Decisions that used to take days of agonizing deliberation now take seconds because you are no longer filtering them through the imaginary opinions of 50 different people. You realize that your reputation is just a collection of hallucinations held by other people, and you have no control over their hallucinations. By letting go of the need to be understood, you finally gain the ability to be effective. The world does not need more people pleasers. It needs people who come alive to the fires of their own conviction. The transition to outcome independence is a violent one for the ego. It requires you to stand in the vacuum of public silence and not panic. It requires you to be dangerous to the status quo because a person who does not care what others think cannot be controlled. This is the birth of the true individual. True power is not found in being loved or even being respected. It is found in the total, cold indifference to the external weather of opinion. You replace the shallow dopamine of validation with the ironclad foundation of integrity. You stop asking, will they like this? And start asking, does this honor the truth of who I am? You build a fortress of self-worth that is immune to the fluctuating markets of social approval. Integrity is the only shield that works in the digital age. If you build your house on the sand of public opinion, the tides of cancel culture and social trends will eventually sweep you away. But if you build on the bedrock of your own values, the waves can crash against you forever and you will remain unmoved. This is the Stoic invulnerability. You learn to treat praise and criticism as the same thing. Noise. Neither adds to your stature and neither takes away from it. You are the only person who has to sleep with your conscience every night. When you realize that you are the sole judge and jury of your life, the courtroom of the public suddenly looks very small and very irrelevant. Building a kingdom of the self means establishing a code of conduct that is not up for public debate. It means realizing that the tribe you are so afraid of offending is an illusion. In the digital age, the tribe is 8 billion strangers. You cannot appease them all, so you must appease none of them. When you stop seeking permission, you stop being a servant to collective's mediocrity. You move from being a social mirror to becoming a social sun, an entity that generates its own light and warmth regardless of who is watching. You realize that the only person who has to live with your choices for eternity is you. The final stage of this awakening is the realization that no one is coming to save you. No one is holding a checklist of your successes and failures except you. The freedom you seek is on the other side of the loneliness you fear. By the time you reach the center of your own life and realize that no one was truly watching, you finally gain the permission to become the person you were always meant to be. You are no longer a prisoner of the mask. You are the architect of your own reality, standing unshakable in a world of shifting shadows. You have finally traded the shallow comfort of belonging for profound power of being. You are the captain, the ship, and the sea all at once.